mic. I'm waiting for you.
Set it. All right, people. So now we're on Facebook. We were on Instagram earlier. Now I had both of them open earlier, and then ran into some little technical difficulties. I was not comfortable with, so we shut it down. So I will replay for those on Instagram. I will post the other part of the video in a little while, and so we will continue with the conversation. And we finished the first two parts of it, which was about the divine partner or disguise distraction, and then who and what was your model for relationships. So the part we're going to deal with here is going to be, is going to be for the relationship sacrifices. Are they real or not so much? Just so that you know, we covered a lot for the divine partner disguise relationship distraction, which really came down to knowing what you wanted and what you would not want to settle for. That's key in any part. It is also knowing where you are in your life and what you're okay with accepting. The other part of that too is based on what you witnessed growing up and what you were doing, who you saw in your relationships and everything will determine how you navigate your own relationships. The other part of it is recognizing in yourself if what you experienced growing up was healthy or toxic. Toxic being it was so dysfunctional, there was a lot of arguments, a lot of fighting, things of that sort. Healthier relationships are more balanced. When it comes to confrontations, you work to not do that in front of your children because they don't need to see that. You can have adult discussions and you can even agree to disagree, but it's just also knowing when that is and where to draw that line. And there are times you just have to evaluate and reassess where you are in your life and where you're looking to go. When you know your purpose in your life, that makes it easier to navigate through that process. Okay? So, as we are here, moving forward, and I have some other people who are en route and looking to join us in on the conversation, so we're kind of waiting here for them as well to continue forward. If you do want to join us here in person, we are here at 6815 Euclid Avenue. As you can see, we are outside, right outside here of the Tech Hive, because it's a nice day outside. It's a nice day, and it's working out. So, we got everything we need right out here. It's a good day. As it starts to get dark, we'll probably close it down. We probably won't be before you much longer. But I am trying to, because I said I would wait for the others to come, because they chimed in on Instagram saying, oh, I'm going to be there. I'm on my way. So I said, okay. So we'll give them time to do that. Some people have taken upon themselves to get a little nourishment because they were a little hungry earlier. So they have taken care of that at the same time. And so that's where we are with that. So we can always appreciate this sharing, the love, and the food. They said it's great when you got places that deliver what you want. You know, the good old DoorDash, Grubhub, any of those. Hey, Uber Eats. Yep, that's the one. Mm-hmm. So.
They didn't put paper towels? Nothing. I
wow.
have some in the car. Okay.
So as we took that pause,
all right.
back to our regular schedule. Right. Back to our regular scheduled program. We have here relationship sacrifices, real or no?
No, they real. No, they real.
Right. So I as I mentioned when I first did this, I got this subject idea from watching an episode on YouTube of The Real. Okay. The Real Daytime. So in doing so, they they had this, and they were talking about. So when I watched the video and I saw what they they were discussing this, and I was like, you know what, this will be good, because the areas that they made mention about are not things that people are always so quick to think about, or they let me see, they brought it up, and it's like it makes sense, because these are, I think, little subtle things that tend to happen when you're in a relationship, or when you get so involved and caught up in the relationship, you forget about the life outside of the relationship, and don't realize how much you're either putting on hold, or things that you just may let go. And I think it does come down to, maybe even in part, because of maybe who your model was for a relationship.
Okay.
Because I can use for an example, you watch Love and Basketball. You remember the part where Sanaa's character was in the kitchen with her mother, and the way she viewed how her mom and dad were together, she was like, you were just, she felt like her mom was either standing in the way or hating on her for trying to pursue her dream as a basketball star.
Right.
And she was like, you just, because I'm not, they felt like they were so different that's why they couldn't get along, because I didn't want to be, a stay-at-home mom and everything like that. And she was like, you think I didn't have dreams?
Right.
But I put them on hold because I had kids,
Right.
But at what point do you step outside of that? It's okay. Life doesn't end when you have kids, kind of like we was talking about, before, but it's like trying to get back into, but she said she came to enjoy that. We were talking about Love and Basketball.
Okay.
So it's like, okay. However, when you have those friendships and or family members who trying to pull your coattail, like, hey girl, first of all, we ain't seen you in a while. I mean, we know you all booed up and everything. You with this new relationship and stuff.
Right.
But, don't forget about us,
Right.
type of thing. Now, I'm going to go through this kind of list real quick, but we can, journey through it, journey back through it. So it was like, okay. So it said, it said, have you or someone found themselves so caught up in their relationship that they have gotten away from their individuality, what they do and what you do, as far as, can you do anything by yourself? Every time it's always us going somewhere, even from the simplest things. Y'all can't not go. Y'all like attached at the hip type of thing. Independence, can you care and do for yourself? Where, now that y'all together, your new boo seems like they do everything for you. You forgot to get yourself, you don't even get yourself dressed no more because they just so involved, type of thing. And these are not necessarily good or bad things. It's just what it is. You have to determine where they are. Your dreams, have you stopped pursuing your dreams and desires for pursuing and chasing your mate in their dream, even if they have one? Goals, you had them and were achieving them. What happened? You just seemed to stop and just drop the ball. Self-awareness, do you even do that anymore? Are you aware of it? Beliefs, have they changed? You were very pro this or so against that, and now that you're with them, you're like, well, I don't know, maybe. The family and friends, do you still communicate and interact with them the same? Is it better or is it worse than it was before? Because sometimes it can be a good thing. You may be more inclined to go around them, sometimes a little more, sometimes not. Privacy, and the example they used in this one was more so about the sharing of like codes and stuff like that. Like, can they unlock your phone? Can they do certain stuff? Are you even open to it? Would that be an issue? Your ability to make decisions. Are you always so quick to seek their approval before making all decisions? And how do they respond? If they say no, does that automatically mean you're going to go along with that, or you're going to go against it, depending on what it is? Yeah, so that's it. It's like, but these are things to be aware of in case there are yellow or red flags or deal breakers involved.
Yeah.
So,
I've lived that.
ooh,
I've lived that out for
okay.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started dating a guy, and he was a provider. Like, he literally, it's like he strived off of providing, whether it's for myself, whether it's for the kids. whether like no matter what it was. It was just like I got it. Like, I got it. And I was actually working at the time that we started dating. And about, I want to say 6 months into our relationship, like, I quit both of my jobs. Like, we had moved in together.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, okay. And that's where I started, was like, okay, I'm going to start being an entrepreneur. I want to start, I want to own my own business. And I started to venture out into those things. And he supported it, like, to the point of, no matter, like, as many things as I changed that I was doing. If I was cooking, he was in the kitchen helping me fry and make deliveries. If I was doing sincere private home care, he was helping me pass out flyers. So he supported what I did, but awesome. He also was a provider. It was awesome, but it was also hindering. And I say that because like, I'm not a person, like, I still want to be able to provide. I still want to be able to take care of things on my own. And if it got to a point where it's like, if I want to go eat, I have to ask you for, to go and do this. If I want to go and get my nails done, I have to ask you to do this. And I don't like being in that position. I don't like being in that space. I don't like feeling needy or like, any of those things.
Because you didn't have your own to pull from.
And furthermore, it became a control thing to the point of, okay, well, I want you to sit around with me all day, or we're laying up all day in a moment that is like, okay, I want to branch off. Well, now I'm not doing A, B, C, or D. And it's like, that's not a healthy way to live. That's not a healthy way to be in a relationship. That's not something that I would suggest somebody to deal with. Like, get your own. Meet in the middle, bring something to the table at all times. Like, never get comfortable in a situation like that. And for me, that was the first time where I felt like somebody came in with their cape and was like, you no longer have to do this by yourself. And I got comfortable in that situation. And I feel like that was, that was a good thing. I just feel like that definitely wasn't a good thing because it took up a lot of time. That's not a valuable situation.
But you learned a lot from it.
Oh,
you learned a lot about yourself in that situation as well. Because you weren't content with somebody just doing everything for you.
And it brought out a lot of things as far as where we talk about resolving things. Like, so I did grow up. So my mom and my dad weren't together. And then my stepmom and my dad, like, have a very toxic relationship. So I started in that situation. I realized that I did not know how to communicate inside of a relationship, probably, period. I probably was, spazzing and flipping on everybody at one point in time. And I realized, that situation helped me realize that, I didn't know how to respond to certain situations, that I didn't know how to lay out my options and figure out which one was best. So it definitely was a great learning experience overall.
So I look at that list, and I don't think any of those items are necessarily a negative thing. But here's a caveat. You have to, as long as you have a healthy relationship,
that part,
and the two of you are on the same page, like, you have to be in a healthy relationship. The two of you have to be in sync with like where you are, your thoughts about these things, and like what's kind of driving some of these things. Because there was something you said about can I say this really quickly? Because you said, like, independence can you do for yourself? He does so much for you. Like the situation you were saying, I don't think so. When I enter into a situation now, like you recognize that was not the best situation for you. But if the two of you had been married, right? And if the two of you had been married and you didn't see those signs of him controlling you, right? And the money was in the bank. and you both had access to it, right? So if the circumstances were different where you felt like y'all were in lockstep with one another, you might not feel that way. You know what I mean? So giving up your job and the fact that you were making a living, like you were, feeling like you were the provider as well, might not be a big thing.
Right.
But the two of you weren't in lockstep from the door. You know what I mean? The conversation that, I don't know what the conversation looked like, ahead of time, or if, before you decided to quit your jobs or whatever. And I'm sure it has something, I'm sure it was as there was something involved with him saying, I got this and I'm, providing. But one, I'm imagining you weren't married, right?
No, we weren't.
Exactly. So you weren't married, and the access to the resources obviously wasn't there, or you wouldn't have had to ask him when you needed something. You know what I'm saying? So there were things that you all weren't on the same page with ahead of time. So one of the other things on here is like your beliefs, have they changed? So there's not, so, all right. I love the Lord, and you're not going to shake me from him.
Right.
So, however, there are some beliefs, like, I don't mean my core values. That's not what I mean. But, how some of the things that I believe in, things that I believe are right and wrong, that kind of thing. When you spend enough time with someone and you spend enough time with someone, two, you start to grow with that person and you start to understand. So you start to, especially if you come from different backgrounds, maybe you grew up in different parts of the country. You know what I mean? Maybe he's from the South, you're from up north.
You're on two different sides of town. You can be different.
Well, you got that right. Or if there's like a big age gap, you know what I mean? You could easily, if you're with them 2 years, 3 years in like a long-term relationship, it's not uncommon for either one of your beliefs to start to change a little bit. And I shouldn't say beliefs, maybe it's perception. To start to change a little bit, because you start to see
from their light,
through their lens.
Right. And it does help into
necessarily wrong.
Right. No, that's good.
As long as it comes down to something that makes sense. It's like, I didn't just change it because you said it was okay.
Exactly.
Right.
I changed it because I understand where you're coming from and you helped me understand it.
Right.
I have a better viewpoint.
And so in the end, as like I was saying, I don't necessarily see these as bad things at all, as long as we're in step with one another.
Right.
You know
It's not like if you find yourself where you're changing all of you changing all of you to be them, to be with them.
Now I'll say this, going back to the title, if I have to start feeling like these are sacrifices, we in trouble.
Right. Exactly.
That's completely different.
Right. And that's the thing, because some find themselves caught up.
I can't
and
give up the
realize
Lord for you, boo.
Well, and the beliefs aren't even so much aren't so much aren't so biblical, but just what you, like you said, your core values, your whole system and what you started out. And then it's like, is it a bad thing? Like I said, does it have to be so extreme? And it's like, if you used to you were so power to the people, type of thing, and now you just like, whatever, they'd be like, well, now wait a minute now, I understand that you don't
now it's a positive change. Now if you got if what I was doing, if my belief might not have been a healthy one, and now he's suddenly bringing out the best in me,
right.
then
That's a good thing.
then that's a good thing.
And that's being able to recognize that too, because
Right.
some people, depending on where they are in their lives and stuff, when especially your family and friends, because they're usually the ones who will see these things, they may look at it as bad if it goes against what they want you to do. You know what I mean? Because they want to have that
That's
influence,
another
that
story.
right. But it's also being able to stand up for it, and like you said, you can justify it or explain it if you feel the need to. Because sometimes you just be like, look, this is where I am now. Take it or leave it, But like I said, but if it does come down to switching religions and stuff, and it's like, did you all discuss that in the beginning,
Right.
And are you? I guess if it's up to me, I can be better with it if we're knowing that we're married or getting into marriage. That I'm okay with how we're going to, what direction we're going to go. But now, because I know this happened to somebody, y'all both start off as Christian. He leave out one day, he come back something else.
Oh no.
We didn't have no conversation. There was no memo sent in any form, no text, no call, no nothing, no nothing.
We still having bacon for breakfast food.
Those kind of things. That's what I'm saying. It's like, well, wait a minute, where did you go? And why didn't we talk about this first?
Right.
Or you go visit a church. I know some people gone to visit a church, and you just go to visit. And they get caught up or whatever, and they went and joined, and you sit back there like, I didn't come here for that. Because you were very clear on not that you weren't open, you were open to hearing the message, not necessarily joining the whole ministry.
Right, and making a big leap like that.
Right, and it's like, what we doing?
Being honest, like going back to having that initial conversation, being honest to where you are, as to if you're figuring it out, if you're not solid in your religion. Like, growing up, I grew up as a Christian, I've been baptized as a child. However, finishing up like high school, like I converted over to Islam, and then eventually found out like, hey, this isn't for me either. I'm more of a spiritual person.
Like,
I'm more so relate to other things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I do not have a connection with God or my higher power. It just means that, hey, I'm not solid in this. Something within this I'm not connecting with. And I feel like ultimately when we speak religion, not even to go deep into it, but it's like we speak about a connection and that connection that you have with your higher power. So that's what's most important for me, and that's what I need to feel. So, going into a relationship, that's that conversation that I would have to have when it comes into that belief system. It's like, well, hey, here's where I've been, here's where I am. I'm not saying this is, I'm solid on this, or hey, I am solid on this, and this is where we are. And then that's where we decide, like, hey, no, I want to marry a Christian. Well, peace, because I ain't for you. Sorry, but
like I'm a little more. I'm not so. It's like,
Yeah.
Are you so?
I'm respectful of it, but
Right, you just so just like, no, this is it, you're not even open to hear nothing else. That could be good and bad too, because if you're so extreme with it, are you not allowing yourself to even grow? Because even within Christianity, there's always room, I think, not only for interpretation, but for growth within that. You know what I mean? Because where you start off, that should not be where you stay. Your whole, the way that you deal with everything as you learn and grow more and then get a better understanding, even a better relationship with God at the end of the day will speak to where you are, versus somebody who's just getting in it, because they say you should be equally yoked. And so it's just like where that is, where that's going to be, that's what you have to determine.
okay, this is your last one. Okay.
So,
You're still hungry.
So, yeah.
I'm sure you need to take this home, please.
You said take it home. You want?
Please, 'cause I don't have no children. To
Did you? Are you gonna?
I haven't gotten anything yet. I do
Yes.
intend
So
to.
one of the
I
things
I just don't think
wanna-
it's a good look to eat while I'm on TV.
That's understandable.
I didn't think about that. Sorry.
That's okay.
We sitting here grubbing.
Y'all all
Sorry.
right though. Y'all all right. I got me
So
no
one of the
water.
things I want to tangle
Mm-hmm.
for just a second is what about when so one of the things this is actually on a show yesterday, and there's a new show on. Well, it's not a new show. I guess it's just a new season or something because I have seen it a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's called don't make me laugh. All right. Essentially, it's people that are in relationships that their family's not going to approve of.
On purpose? Or it just happens to be? Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't think on purpose, but
Uh-huh.
one woman, she's Hispanic, she's Mexican,
Mm-hmm.
and her best friend is black.
Okay.
He's a black man.
Okay.
They've been friends for
Long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They've been friends. They've known each other for 9 years,
Mm-hmm.
and they've known each other for 9 years. Best friends for like 7, and for the last year and a half, they've actually had a intimate dating relationship.
Okay.
And I forget now how they said it. Kind of just happened, but they've been dating, and so the parents, her parents, who are both Mexican, knew him and absolutely loved him
As her friend.
as her friend, but she was terribly concerned about letting them know, because they were coming to town, terribly concerned about letting them know that she was dating
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and how they would react because of those beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And he was concerned because he was really concerned because he felt like, so they did essentially meet the parents, tell the parents,
Mm-hmm.
and the parents essentially said to her, we've always loved him. But their concern was, well, what about the family and friends that are going to shun you? And she said, if I have friends that are going to shun me, then they're not really my friends.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
And I think the mom said, well, what about family that's going to, shun you and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, listen, if we have family members that want to cut us off, then whatever. I'm happy with him and blah, blah, blah. And the father, she said, so are you happy for me? You're comfortable with this, blah, blah, blah. And quite frankly, she asked more questions than I would have. But ultimately, the parents, I remember mom or dad, they said, we're something like we're not happy that you're not dating a Mexican,
Okay.
but we love him, so we're not happy that you're not dating a Mexican, but we love him, so if you're not dating a Mexican, at least it's him. Something.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
To that
Okay.
effect.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And when she told him that, like separately on camera, he was like, this. I feel like this is really going to be an issue, because essentially they're saying, he felt like it was, they were saying, we've always loved Craig, like someone that's not a Mexican isn't really good enough for her, but at least it's Craig, or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your thoughts about potentially, being in a situation, because he's at a place where he's saying, this might put too much stress on the relationship, where he's feeling like he may need to get out of it. But so, what are your thoughts?
Where do your loyalties lie?
Yeah, where do you right?
At the end of the day, I feel like I'm grown. I'm the one that has to live with this person. I'm grown. I have to live with this person. I'm choosing this. Right. I mean, and I get it, because I think that's a cultural thing in a lot of instances, because they do seek their parents' approvals and stuff like that. We, as a culture, in a sense, don't give a damn. A lot of times. I mean, that's just what it is.
But sometimes if you go and date a Caucasian person, or
you're going to be
like
met with some flack. Yes.
Yeah, and
it can
worry
be.
about like, okay, well, how does this person
But then that's
feel?
gone through history, though. I mean, because if you look back on our history, I mean, truth be told, most of our families are mixed. And most of our families are mixed in some form down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, have a seat, ma'am.
What are you doing? Go sit down. Go do what you're supposed to be doing now.
But
Hello, how are you?
hi.
Hey, how are
You get, we always, there's always gonna be flack. Yes, people, families and stuff are a little more welcoming and inviting now than they were before. But and it's depending on what the generation is and this, that, and the other, and what you expose them to. Because my thing is, if you move me out to Beechwood, Pepper Pike, or on the West Side, where I'm a minority, even and more so, but I'm exposed to all these other cultures. Yes, then 9 out of 10, I'm gonna come home with somebody who don't look like us. That's just the odds. That's just it's set up. It's kind of set up. I mean, it's what the reality is. However, I know, but so you should know to expect that. It comes with the territory. There is a chance. There's a greater chance of that, but as long as that person is treating them right and they love them and you see it's genuine, and to me, that regardless of what race or color that they are, because for you insisting that I go with my own, but my own is dogging me, that's not good for me. I'm not going to try to appease you, and I'm not happy at the end of the day.
I'm not gonna say black men are dogging me, but
No, and I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying if your culture is, and that's why you decided to venture out, because when it's the men, they are more open to other races and stuff, and we sometimes are not. Because right, it's a choice. And it's respecting that choice. If you're good, if you're happy at the end of the day with them, because you're the one who got to lay down with them. You got to go behind them doors or whatever. If they're treating you good and there's genuine love on both sides, go with that.
Yeah.
Because can't nobody tell you how to live and do within that.
Yeah, it goes back to that list though. Like, I'm going to keep taking it to the beginning, because whether you're purple, pink, yellow, blue, and you meet these requirements on my list, and this is what we're going, like, and we are compatible with each other,
can
and
you
all
date
of these
purple,
other things.
pink, and blue?
I will date purple, pink,
Would
and
you
blue.
really?
Yeah, I really would.
For a short
Because
period of time,
no,
just to
here's
see.
my thing. No, seriously. Like, I see people, and this is what any interaction, this is whether it's a personal, intimate relationship, or whether it is a friendship or anything. I see energy, I see spirit, I see things of that nature. That is what I'm compatible with. That's what I attach myself to, versus this outside shell, type of thing. I feel like that becomes shallow. Now, I'm not saying, like, I understand, appearance matter. I understand that appearance matter. I have to be attracted, to it. But if I'm attracted to purple, yellow, pink, or blue, then yes, I'll date it.
You know what? I wish I could be honest to say that, because I work with purple, pink, blue, yellow. I mean,
the rainbow.
Right. I work with a rainbow. I'm friends with a rainbow.
But you will not date within the rainbow as much. It's limited.
I keep saying I'm open to it.
But you're not availing yourself to.
I keep saying I'm open to it, and I honestly, from time to time, I'm like, okay. But
not
when
enough
I
to move
think
forward.
about it, I'm being totally honest. So I went to the So I've never actually been in a situation where anyone's approached me and said, like, to date, or that I've known was attractive to me. I got way too much booty for like but I've never been in a situation where anyone's like approached me, to go out or anything like that. Drinking, I hang out with, the rainbow, but for like dating or anything. But when I've actually thought about anything more, I'm like, I get this awkward, and I guess it's awkward because it would be brand new. I always think about Sanaya Lathan in that, what was that? Brand new.
Oh, something new.
Something new. And I guess I don't know if I could get past that.
That's being honest with yourself.
And I don't know if that's a bad thing or not.
It's just what it is. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
I don't think
it sounds like it's a lot of thinking, not a lot of action.
It sounds like right. It sounds
It's a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
It sounds
You've
like
compared it to everything except for what you like. You've compared it to a movie. You've compared it in your mind. You've compared it to this. Just overthinking it.
And I feel like I'm
Instead of just letting it happen.
just like,
Yeah.
right. I feel
Right.
like,
You're trying to control
and
it.
see, here's the crazy thing. Here's the crazy thing. My stepmother's wife.
Okay.
I love her to death.
Yeah.
So it's not
Like you haven't been exposed to
it's not me
it.
getting
Right.
past interracial dating.
Yeah.
Because I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For other people.
Right. I truly don't. Right.
It just seems like you're battling yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You're your own
Hard.
way.
Yeah. You're just getting in your own
You're
way.
your own way. You're your own
Because
way.
I think what I have found is that
don't know
it
what I'm
it kind of just maybe just being open. You're just fighting being open. Because sometimes I think it comes down to, in many forms, the law of attraction. If you allow yourself to be attracted and open to it, it'll come to you. But if you put blocks up, whether it's because if you're thinking it long enough, you're manifesting it even within that.
I might
Yeah.
be throwing up
And
back.
that happens when you don't think plans, go out looking for it. It just happens.
It just comes to you, right? And it's being open to it when it
I mean,
happens.
not people always say, "Well, I wasn't looking for it." Yeah, you were.
Right.
And I still think it goes down to preference, though, because even all of those things are true. I feel, but it's like if this is just something I'm not into,
It's
then
okay.
I'm just not into
Yeah.
it, and that's okay.
Yeah,
It's
one thing,
okay.
like you say, energy and spirit means a lot. You can connect,
Absolutely.
and that's with anybody.
Mhm.
No matter color, sex, creed. I just believe you connect
Yeah.
with who you connect with.
Right.
You connect with. So if there's genuinely a disconnection, that's fine. But if you go in like black, black because I'm supposed to, black because I'm black, black because that's
Yeah.
black, black because
Right.
they're black.
Yeah.
Right.
We're in the black and Luther's
And
plan.
black, and
Black,
black.
black.
Like-
Or white because it's white and that's white and now it's white music, so I should have white too, but not
Right.
really white. But what my mama gonna say? But
Right. Or going against the grain because you have some who go against because this is gonna really piss
This
my
gonna piss
parents
my
off.
parents
Right.
Not easy.
You have some that'll do that. Right. I mean, they are intentioned that.
But I do think the fix my favorite.
I mean, you just have that. I mean, that's just, you have those different extremes for whatever reason. If you're going to be open to it, you're open to it. If you're not,
I just
There's
believe
no shade
that
on
love truly happens when you are not looking for it.
yeah.
Women
But
go,
you're open to it.
Women go in with hello. And in this, we have planned the wedding, the breakup, my girlfriends, the divorce party,
Right,
the get
right.
back together party, waiting to exhale. I got cancer.
Yeah,
now,
it's like,
I'm
how do
back.
you stop your gears from turning like that, though?
Yeah.
Like, because I
Just-
think every
just
woman
relax.
has to
When
admit.
you have gotten to a point, and I've been married. I am married.
You are married.
Please claim him husband.
Right. She's been married a long time. We'll say that. There we go.
Thank
Right,
you.
right.
But on Tuesdays and through some basketball games, we are not a couple. I know that. And James and I, can I say that?
Yeah, that's you. That's your
James
business.
and I, our connection was deeper than we even knew. And we weren't looking for one another. We grew up together. We lived on the same street. We went to school together. We were in every classroom. We even went together a little bit in the 5th grade. All that. And then a scenario happened, and then we just pow. 10 years, no contact, no touch, no nothing, no rounds, no meat, no nothing.
So I need to go back home. Okay.
So, and the silly thing is, I went home. We grew up on the same street. He was still there. I was not. I ironically ended up talking to a person who lived in the house that I grew up in. How does that happen? And then ran into him in the store. Still no attraction, just hey. I ain't
Right.
seen you up to 10 years.
Right.
And then we shared these ridiculous stories that people had told each one of us about each other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So
I didn't know I had done that.
Me either, girl. I had left Cleveland. I was in Cleveland the whole time. He had gotten married. He said, I ain't been married. I don't even know where that came from.
Okay. People make stuff up.
Yeah,
Right,
people
right.
made stuff up.
Right.
But I was in a place where I had become numb. And not bad numb, just shut off.
Just like whatever.
I'm going to do me. I'm going to focus. I had just got my government job. I'm going to focus on the career. So I had literally shut relationship off.
We were just talking about that.
He was coming out of something. He had kind of shut. I'm going to raise my kids, get a better job. We in our 20s. I'm going to shut it off. So we had literally bounced off relationship. We weren't doing it. So when we connected, it wasn't, hey, I'm coming in to possibly connect to you as a relationship. It was just two friends that had reconnected.
And they say a lot of friendships start off great that way. I mean, that's the ideal situation because you do want to be friends with your
And
significant other.
Now, I'm at the bottom there because we were friends and had been friends and grew up. So we get into this said relationship, and then we realize how much we had missed from one another. from those 10 years. And now it's getting to know one another. Now it's becoming the battle of, kind of want to get with you because you're my friend, but you're acting stupid. That's how we grow. But what I'm saying is, it became apparent to us that obviously this connection was there when we just weren't looking for it. Like, it just literally kind of happened. And I went from a friend saying, hey, I ran into James and he's doing cool, to, hey, we're getting married, to, hey, we just had 2 kids, and that's just kind of happened. That's how it we're looking for it. Well, my friends was talking about family. I was like, bartender, can I get some more wine? They on some trash. So it just kind of happened. So when women say, oh, girl, I ain't looking for no man, yeah, you are. You have to literally become in your mind shut off. Like, literally, I am looking for this bottle of water, and then he shows up.
That sounds like going through that personal journey. And I'm speaking of like where I am now, where it's like I'm so focused on figuring out who I am, what I love, what I don't love, what I don't like what gets on my nerves, all of this. And that journey, it's so scary because it's like, oh my God, I'm finding out stuff about myself. And it's like, once you do that, and that's what it sounds like to me, or that's how I take it. It's like, once I do that and you go on that journey of figuring out who you are, what you want, then those things attract itself.
But once you get on your journey and you figured out, you got it all on paper. What's your name?
Alicia.
You're going to find out who Alicia is. You done wrote it down. Child, I got it together. Jesus, take the wheel. And then Darren shows up. You like, throw Alicia away. I don't even know who the hell that is. The one thing I learned in this is everything I said I wouldn't do, I absolutely did. You never know who you are until now you've gotten into the situation. And like I said, I have Lena all figured out. Child, I ain't even like that.
But at the same time, while you all were rediscovering together,
right, we did.
You know what I mean? And then it all ended up working together because he's as supportive of you as you are of him.
And what people have to see is what you see on the outside. Honey, there's some battles in the inside.
And there will be.
On the outside see that.
Right.
I think what people get misconstrued is the fairy tale of, oh, I found my friend and we reconnected. It's going to be roses in a lifetime. And it's like, honey, child, if you don't kill him in the first year of marriage, you have done it.
So going to the list where you spoke about beliefs and then where you just said, you basically who you thought you were, you weren't when you got into it. So is it that, you let go of the beliefs of who you thought you were?
Yes, and just let me happen. Because even when you make those lists and you discover, you're still you're manipulating who you think you are. You're still saying, even though I can look at you and say, you know what, just by your hair, I think you're a free-spirited, free-thinking person who's open-minded and do all these things. That's what I think. But then... that's what I think. But you can think something totally different because you's like, because what Alicia is, yeah. And I remember that one time, you know those things because then you get into this relationship and then you turn into a blank page all over again. Because, like she said, now you're rediscovering yourself with something else.
Yeah.
And we both had to learn. Even though we grew up together, have known each other for 34 years now, 34 years, we still had to rediscover each other together. And we're still learning.
Right. It's an ongoing process. It's a journey, yes.
We're still learning. Okay? We're learning that we probably shouldn't have mixed DNA. That's how that last baby got here and he crazy. This is why they kept us apart in class.
Right.
But I think people make these lists and these expectations and, girl, I wouldn't do that and
you never know until the time comes. And I've encouraged a list, but not for the reason that people think. The list is to be used as a guide.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No, but no, I'm just saying.
But I'm talking about the list of people. He got to be light skinned, 6 foot tall.
Right, you trying to build a man. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to navigate so that you know how to differentiate between.
Right.
Do I entertain you? Should I just keep it moving?
Happy or happy. That's it. Connection or no.
Yeah. Is this working or not? Yeah. Keep you focused on what you trying to do, what you trying to get done.
Make the list.
Trying to build. You're not going to do that.
And you're not going to do
That's not what's going to happen.
I love James. Lord knows I do.
He's probably not what nothing what you have on your list.
He's going straight through before I pulled out the driveway. I was like, go work.
And if you tried to break it down like that.
The sad thing, no. And he still does crazy stuff. You know what his mother says? You knew that. You know him. I said, right.
And you had to be reminded of it from time to time, right?
I have one question. I'm sorry, cause y'all see what I'm dealing with. and
Right,
then I
right.
still got
Child,
it
I
right.
got a lot of
But I do have one question though. So, and it's more so directed towards you because you're married. You know, what is that out of all of these? You know, that journey and the good, the bad. Like, what is that one thing that you hold on to, or that one thing that lets you know, like, okay, we're gonna move forward. I'm not giving up on this. I'm gonna does that thing
Today,
exist?
in 2019, just as yesterday, in 1986, I still laugh. I still laugh. I laughed in 1986. I laugh in 2019. I don't care. We can go to war in that house. I'm going to laugh at the end. Somebody going to crack a joke, and it's over. It's over. That's it. Let me tell you something. I married my terrorists. When they say, oh, boys hit you because they like you, he terrorized me. From 3rd grade to, I was thinking high school. Yeah. Just married my terrorists. So, even today, he still call me go head, forehead. He still call me side head. He still say I got a basketball forehead. I had 2 whole kids with this man. He still cracks on me. I still crack on him.
Right.
I still say he's got cassava melon for lips. I still say, hey, remember when I beat you in the 3rd grade? You have to hold on to the one thing that connects you. Ours is laughter. Yeah. As long as this marriage is fun, we'll always be together. It don't matter what war go on.
You all have
For
that.
us,
That brings you back
that's
together.
what
Yeah.
we met on laughter. We didn't. We met on a black eye, but we met on laughter. Okay, sort of on laughter. I laughed after.
Right.
So, you know, he hit me on. It's a long story. Hit me on the butt. Called him a playground black because I've been together ever since. But I laughed afterwards. But the fun for us, he's always been a comedian. I'm sort of the serious one. He can still find a way to make me laugh. And at any point the laughter stops, then I know it's over for us. Right. So that's what connects us. It's still fun. It's still funny. We still laughing.
We're still together.
So that's our story.
Amazing.
Yes.
You give us hope.
Thank
Right.
Right. You definitely.
There is hope to be
I
found.
can't for bread.
It's in the car. I got you.
Well, we're glad we got your message anyways.
Right?
Thank you. It was great meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Same
Yes.
here.
Take this home.
Oh, you want me to take
Yeah.
this?
Well, whose water is this? Because I'm a snag that.
You can have that. Yeah, I'll partake. Yep.
I'm Lena.
Yep. Amen.
Thank you.
All right.
It's been a while.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll talk later.
I left him
You
with
trying to
the
go
Okay.
with me?
Yeah, right.
Come on.
All right, thank you, baby. All right. I know, right?
Bye.
And we're gonna sign out on that one. But thank you guys for tuning in.
In the car, so you can go ahead and knock it out.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I will add this with the other live later on. We'll connect the two together somehow. I talk to my video people, my tech people, because I don't know how to do all that right now.
Tech person just left.
That person just left. But feel free to reach out to if you have suggestions, if you have ideas for the next conversation, if you want to join us, feel free. I will be tuning in later on. Thank you guys for tuning in, and good night.